Good evening. This is the Town of North Andover Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, March 9th, 2021. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the North Andover Finance Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information in the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so on their televisions by tuning to Comcast Channel 99 or Verizon Channel 28 or online at northandovercam.org. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. It is now 7:05, and I call our meeting to order. If you will stand in the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be excellent. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is now 7:06. I have not received any public comment, but I will check my email one more time. At this time, I have not received any public comment. We can keep moving. The next item on the agenda is the discussion of the town charter amendment pertaining to the Finance Committee report. So let's see if I can present. I'm going to present. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Great. This, and you see draft charter change. Everyone's muted and I can't see you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. So essentially what I wanted to do is have a quick discussion regarding this change to the charter that I had asked our town attorney town council to review and provide us with. The intent is that we remove burdensome administration from the charter and replace it with things that make it easier for the staff, but also that provide more transparency. So if you'll notice, they put the notice of public hearing. It includes the words proposed budget and capital improvement plan and publication of the Finance Committee report. So we broaden it. And then those are in bold. And you'll also see, we're saying basically the number of days prior to annual town meeting remains when we have to publish our committee report, but it has to be in a public place. And it doesn't just say at town hall or at the library. And it also removes that there's an article published in the newspaper, because generally at this time we use Sarah Brush and social media, and we can utilize that to get the word out. I'm not sure how effective at this point in 2021, a small note in a newspaper is to say that we have this published. So it will be available in all of the same places, actually probably more. Does anyone have any comments about this?
Well, I just wonder, what's the legal requirement for the publication in the newspaper?
It was in our town charter. My understanding is there are not legal requirements. So if we remove that, we now don't have to, we no longer have to publish it in the newspaper.
So did council advise you as to that she researched it and there's no requirement under state law that it be published in a legal advertisement?
She did not. She is the one who provided me with this article change. I asked her to do that, to draft it, because I am not an attorney. So Kevin, that's a really good point.
The
Do
other
you
point I have
mind-
while I'm on it, Sasha, is that
Please.
a lot of people that are over 75 years old don't use social media or a website, as the Governor Baker found out when he tried to roll out the vaccination program for senior citizens over 75. And so my concern is twofold. That one is, if we have a legal requirement to make this, even if it's just once a year or twice a year, to tell people where this is, there might be other means besides publishing in a newspaper if that's not legally required. But a website or social media may not be the way. Maybe through the senior citizens group, the senior center or something like that. Maybe some publication or some notice down there to reach those older citizens in North Andover.
Kevin, I think that's a great idea, and I couldn't agree with you more. Because my thought process is, because it's not that we're actually publishing our report in the paper, it's just a notice. It's not that it's necessarily getting our report into the hands of those in that age bracket. But I think that's an excellent point, that potentially we ask the town that it be placed, because there's now general guidelines, right? It just says a public place. It be placed not only at town hall, but perhaps at the senior center, just like you said, so that they have access to the physical copy. And also it can be provided to them at the town clerk's office, or, or an office, or it could be at the library too, right? We can have it in a multitude of places. It's really anywhere where the warrant is. My thought process is just like, it's not very effective, I think, for advertising to have it in a newspaper. And it's an administrative burden for the person that is working with the finance committee, or quite frankly, year over year, for the chair to remember to comply with that. And so my hope was to eliminate that for compliance reasons as well.
As long as there's not a state requirement that we advertise it in a legal ad to let people know the availability of it through the senior citizen center or the town hall or the website, I don't think there's a problem with that. But council probably should be asked to take a look at that. I don't know offhand whether or not that's a requirement under state law, that finance committees have to advertise once a year where their publications and reports are available.
Okay, so I appreciate that feedback, and I will specifically ask that question just to make sure we're covering our bases.
Sasha, you might have already done this, but I'm sure you guys will recall we made a very similar change to the warrant. I mean, to the link to the charter for the warrant. Yeah. So, okay, I was going to say we should just be consistent. Whatever we say there, should say here.
We did. So we made sure that the change that was made last year now matches this as well. So the language is the same. And that's why I asked council and looped in Lori Burzlaff and the town manager regarding this as well. Does everyone feel comfortable with this if this is endorsed by the Board of Selectmen and it comes up on the warrant for town meeting? Good?
I am.
Okay. I don't know that we need a vote. I think general consensus is fine, because it's not something we technically, vote on. If we decide that we want to take an action, that we can do. That would be later. Okay, excellent, perfect. Let's keep moving. I would like to discuss the Finance Committee warrant report structure and schedule. So we have a few new members this year. So I want to make sure that we are consistent in our approach, or improve our approach from the last couple years. So for those of you who don't know, or who are listening and don't know, every year the Finance Committee produces a report that is put in the warrant book at town meeting. This is regarding the kind of state of our financial state, or any other pertinent issues that the Finance Committee wants to discuss and bring up in our report. So I can pull it up, but I prefer, quite frankly, to see your faces, if that's okay. Does everyone have this in front of you? It is in the documents folder. Okay, so my thought was just to go through this and basically have a conversation about each section. And I think it makes sense to leave the sections consistent because we've done that over the past couple of years. And I think it provides some continuity year over year for the readers. But to assign sections to each person or each couple people, and then, at that point, we can decide on our next deliverable dates and when we compile it and how we review it going forward. Does that sound okay? All right. So the first section is the executive summary. Typically, the chair has written that in the past. I'm happy to do that again if that's okay with you, because I'll, work with some folks, whoever volunteers, to compile the report and all of the pieces and make it sound like one cohesive voice. And then produce an executive summary, of course, which the entire committee would read and review before we finalize. Does that work with everyone? Okay, so I will do that. The next section is the municipal and shared expense budget. I don't remember who did that last year. Perhaps Divya. So that's something that's up for grabs. I think so. So essentially this is just, we can talk through each piece and then go back so people don't have to volunteer. Chris, you think that maybe makes sense for newer folks?
Yeah, that's fine. I do think it was Divya, and just so everybody knows, it's like, I think the best thing to do is go back to last year's warrant too. I mean, if you have it available, or you go online and take a look at all the sections, and you can see what was written. Some of pieces are more complicated than others, and it'll just give you a better feel of what you feel comfortable doing, I think. And all of them are reviewed too. So like last year, Sasha and I went over a lot of the categories to say like, oh, how can this be made better, or how will it fit better? Or so it's not, you're not adrift on your own until we panic at the last minute and say we got to get this done.
Never.
Never.
So essentially,
Wait, but isn't what we're looking
look
at last year's?
Yes, it is. Yep, exactly. So what was in I actually had the last 2 years put into our document folder so you could see and read backwards to give you some context. But I think using last year's is helpful. The one thing about last year's is because of COVID, we did not make a formal recommendation in the report. Typically, we would make a formal recommendation in the report with information to support that recommendation. Because of the unique situation of the timing of town meeting and the uncertainty and the MOU not being executed while we were writing it, we waited until town meeting to make those recommendations on the operating budget, the capital budget, and the enterprise funds. So historically, we had not done that. That was the first year because of kind of the unique circumstances. Given the budget this year, I don't anticipate us having to do that. So essentially, we have the executive summary. The next, I'll just run through them quickly. The next piece is the municipal and shared expense budget. So that is an overview essentially of the municipal side of the budget and any shared expenses. The next section is the school department budget. So it's kind of like, the big overarching two pieces. Then we have retiree health insurance and pension costs. So that includes a section about OPEB. We have another entire section about our reserve funds, a section about the SIP, so about the capital improvement plan, and then a final section about the enterprise funds, and we break those down between the water, sewer, Stevens Estate. And then we have a conclusion, which we typically work, it's short, so I can take that, or, we work on that after we've put the whole report together. The one thing I will say is I spoke to Jen. I didn't do a roll call. As I said Jen's name, I realized. I apologize, everyone, and everyone who's listening. We kind of blew right through that. I will do that in a second. So the Stevens Estate section, Jen would like to take because she is on the long-term advisory committee. I think that makes intuitive sense. So just to put her name there. And I'm going to do a roll call. Okay, Chris Allen.
Here.
Kevin Foley.
Here.
Regina Keene.
Here.
Donovan O'Connell,
Here.
Ed McMillan,
Here.
Justin Soak,
Here.
Thomas Ringler. He's muted, but he's here. He's trying. Thomas is here. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
and
here,
Jen,
sorry.
thanks, Thomas. And Jen was unable to make it today. So apologies to everyone listening that I skipped over roll call. I think we were so excited to dive in that we forgot. So I forgot. All right, so let's move backwards again to the report structure. So anyone have any questions? I kind of am going a little bit quickly, but I know we have some new members. So any questions about this report or the structure, generally speaking?
I have a question. Is this supposed to be a layman's summary of the budget, fact-based, or opinion-based on the, well, or opinion-based, I guess. I mean, because when I looked at
Yeah.
last year's very briefly before the meeting, it looked like it's more fact-based. It's not as much, it's like explaining the budget versus saying, well, if we want to address the school's long-term strategic plans, this isn't going to get us there, or it is a good step to get us there, or whatever. Like that would be more of an opinion, I think, than fact-based. So I
would say it's both. So it's the majority of it is fact-based. We want really this to be something that someone who's sitting at town meeting can read and quickly digest the budget and say, okay, this makes sense to me. However, that being said, we have historically in other years written specific things, for example, your comment about the schools, Regina, that say, if we continue down this path, we will not achieve our school's goals. Like
yes,
we have said that. Yeah, we have said that. So it is appropriate, in my opinion, and I think the finance committee has taken that stance, that if there is an overwhelming, feeling by the committee that everyone wants to go a certain way and we're never going to get there, we need to provide that financial lens for them, but we're not about to go off on a tangent about like if we did X, Y, and Z things, or in the future we could achieve these goals. That's not our role, in my opinion, and I think it's also situational based. There are certain things that come up that we wouldn't necessarily take an opinion on unless they have a significant financial impact.
Right. And so any like specific measure that might be in front of town meeting that would impact revenue streams or whatever, that would come in our recommendation or our comments related to that project, not this. This is really explanatory of the budget and maybe some high level comments about how it helps us achieve our strategic direction or not, or whatever.
Yeah, that's what we've historically done. If there's something specific that comes up and the committee feels really strongly about that, I think that we can always evolve. But that's historically what we've done. We've also gone one step further outside of this report. For example, with Amazon last town meeting, we prepared a statement that said, here are the financial implications of this article. We are not going to give a favorable or unfavorable or no recommendation because we can't opine on zoning and planning, for example. We're not, we haven't been part of those hearings. That would be inappropriate. However, we can tell you if you vote yes or if you vote no, like here are the financial implications. That I think we've established as a committee to be appropriate.
Yes. Okay.
Does that sound right to those who have been on the committee before and to those who are new? Does that make sense?
I think it does. It's pretty consistent.
Okay.
So, Sasha, are you looking for volunteers on each of these sections? Because I don't mind taking a shot at reserves again. I did it last year. Tim's not on the committee any longer, so I think I'm safe to try to give it a whirl.
I think you'll be great. All right, Kevin, That's awesome. Reserves. Kevin will take reserves. Is there someone who feels strongly about other sections? I know I'll take volunteers first and then we'll go through the list. So if anyone has something that they would like to focus on.
I'll do the schools again. I'll see what I'll take. That's going to be interesting. I probably will need some help with that, but we'll take a crack at schools.
Does someone else want to join Chris on that piece? Schools are always a heavy lift because there's a lot of data. I mean, I don't know. I see you shaking your head, Regina. Is that something you'd?
Yeah, I was
to.
thinking someone has to help Chris with that, I'm sure, because that's like a meaty one. So yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay,
It's fine.
that's good.
Unless somebody else wants to do it, you know, I'm open to really any of them. I guess my preference would not be open, but yeah, I'll do schools with Chris.
Yeah, and Sasha, this is Donovan. I'll do whatever you want me to do. You can, whichever one's fine.
I'm with Donovan too.
All right. So how about this? So Dustin, given your analysis expertise, how about you take municipal insured expense budgets? I also think that's really helpful for you as a new member to dive in to kind of see how that all works. And I can help too if you have questions, but that's more of like an overarching, here's how the budget works. And it would be helpful to, for you to review those numbers. I think that would be great. That's something I will say, we all need to be responsible for our respective sections and really reading the budget documents and the numbers and scrubbing those. So historically, we had a few folks on the finance committee that is what they love to do. So we would all kind of high level review everything. We would, digest it and we'd write about it and talk about it. But there was a few folks who really dug in and spent weekends, scrubbing kind of the budget and asking very specific questions. Those folks are no longer on the finance committee. So we need to pick up that slack a bit and make sure that each person is really reviewing their respective sections so we can feel confident in the work we're producing. No pressure.
I don't read Sasha, so I wicked sorry.
Oh goodness. All right, so let's keep going. So Thomas has a specific section that he has already claimed. Which one is it? Is it enterprise funds or is it SIP? He made me promise he could do this one this year.
SIP.
Okay. Thomas is doing the SIP. Donovan, do you mind taking a crack at the retiree health insurance and pension costs? And we can all help with that too, because that has OPEB in it. Is that?
No problem.
Thank you. And Ed, do you want to take enterprise funds this year again? I think that was your focus last year too, right?
Yep.
All right. And you don't have to do Stevens Estate because Jen will focus on that. Did I get everything and did I miss anyone? Let's see. Because we doubled up on schools. I think we're good. So does everyone feel comfortable with those sections? Okay. So the next thing to think about regarding the report is the schedule. So our next meeting is the 23rd. CPC is going to present to us on the 23rd. April 6th is our public hearing and our vote on the budget. Our report is due no later than May 20th. We want to shoot to have it done a week before that, just to be safe. I would say perhaps on the 6th, before that meeting, if everyone could send their draft. What do you think? Is that enough time? Some month?
Did you say May 6th? That seems really late.
April.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
April.
say.
April. Because that's our public hearing and we're voting on the budget. So if if everyone can have a draft and we can just send them, if everyone sends them to me or to Chris. Chris, do you want to compile them? Yeah, that's okay. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, you can send them to me. You're probably better at stitching them together than I am, but I don't mind if they get sent to me, so I can just make sure everything is there, like we aren't missing any pieces. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So let's pick a date before that meeting. Let me just check the calendar. All right, let's see. The 6th is our meeting.
April 1st?
How about this?
No, it's too soon. March.
The 9th. I mean, how about we do like if everyone can send them to Chris by the 2nd, which is a Friday. Could you compile them by Monday, Chris?
April 2nd.
You don't have to review them.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yes.
Okay.
Just to point out, that's Easter weekend. I don't know if Chris wants to work on Easter weekend.
Oh, it is. Thank you.
Just pointing it out.
I appreciate that. So why don't we have them done by the 29th, Monday?
Okay.
Just a draft. If everyone can send those to Chris. And then Chris, if you want to circulate them by Friday.
Okay.
In one document. And then we can read them over the weekend. Shouldn't take too long. And have a discussion on the agenda for the 6th after we vote on the budget and have our public hearing. And that way that gives us plenty of time for everyone to kind of understand what's being written about and for us to decide on, how we want to write the executive summary and the conclusion, like what points we want to get across and go from there. Does that work?
Oh, okay, so we're discussing a draft of it on the 6th. We're not, yeah, okay. Good.
Because it's mostly just to set a deadline so everyone can sift through the information, come with questions, comments, whatever it is. And then we'll move from there. I don't have any other meetings on the calendar yet, so I will work with Chris and Jillian Brothers to put a few more meetings solely for this purpose on the calendar. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay. I think that is all the information I had about that topic on the agenda. Anyone have any questions? Okay, so let's move to the next item, old business. I just wanted to make a few notes in old business. The budget books, so the operating budget books are at my house. I grabbed them from town hall, so I can put them outside. I think it's going to be nice this week, so I'll put them on my front steps. I will email everyone my address again, so you have it if you need it, or text me. And there's a couple folks who didn't pick up the SIP binders, so I'll put those out too for whoever wasn't able to get those previously. And that way you can grab them, okay? Because it's easier to have like the physical copy in front of you when you're working on the stuff and to highlight and make markups and whatever else. So that's that. I already talked about the CPC coming next meeting. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is, we had a presentation by the town manager regarding the operating budget. Historically, we have department heads come in and present to us, specifically if there's like something that's really changing in a department or a big spend. This year's really unique, where there's really none of that at all. And given that and kind of the strain that people are under because of the pandemic and us being remote, I don't have a strong inclination to ask any department heads to shift focus from what they need to prioritize to come talk to us. But I am open to suggestions if anyone feels like it would really help them to hear from a department head. The only caveat to that is I think it may make sense for us to reach out to the school administration and ask them to come back. And that would not be for next meeting. My preference would be closer to town meeting regarding their plan for the $2.6 million appropriation from free cash, not necessarily on their operating budget.
Yeah, that would be, and just thinking of putting together, the article for the warrant, that's the most interesting piece to try to have to delineate and describe is, not so much their budget, that's vanilla, but that extra $2.5 million or whatever it is. Because we don't, we have no idea what's going on with that. So, yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about how do we write about that? So,
right.
Yeah, that would be good.
Wait.
Even just a discussion, even just if it was just Jim Mealy and Lynn and our town manager, that would work. I don't know.
Do you think that Lynn would mind taking a call or an email from any of us on anything that we had as we put together our respective sections?
No, I don't. I would ask though that if you reach out to Lynn, if you could CC me just so I know the questions, so there's no redundancies or that I'm looped in on kind of what we're talking about and working through, that would be super helpful. But otherwise, of course.
I'd be inclined to go through you on it, Sasha, so that you're like the channel person to go, if I have a question for her or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever whatever anyone needs in terms of getting, questions answered or support, I'm happy to reach out to anyone at Town Hall to do that. I also know that some of people have direct relationships, so that's fine as well. But I do want to be respectful, obviously, of all of their time because everyone is pretty busy these days with everything that's going on. So, yeah, I think that's great. Anyone have any strong inclinations for any other departments besides the schools to come speak with us? I just don't want to make that decision unilaterally without having a conversation with you guys. No? Okay. And if anyone who is a department head is listening, thank you very much for all the hard work and that went into the budget. We appreciate your hard work so much that we don't want to ruin a Tuesday night for you. So that is really our intent is to not do that. So, all right, I think we can continue to move forward unless anyone has any additional comments regarding old business. All right, let's continue. Our next item on the agenda is to approve our prior meeting minutes from February 16th, 2021, if everyone wants to take a peek at those. And,
Before you entertain a motion on that, Sasha, I would just ask that a portion of those minutes be amended. The first line indicates that people that were present, I was very much present on the 16th, as you can see from the body of the minutes, but for whatever reason, through a typo, I think I was left off. So I just asked to be added to being present on the 16th of February.
Absolutely. Any additional amendments to the minutes? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment that Kevin Foley proposed?
Yes, this is Donovan O'Connell. I would move to accept the minutes with the addition of the amendment that Kevin Foley made.
Second.
Kevin fully seconded that. All those in favor, I will take a roll call. Thomas,
Thank you.
Aye.
Donovan,
Sorry, aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Allen, Justin Suck,
Aye.
Aye.
Kevin Foley,
Yes.
Regina Keen, Ed McMillan.
Aye.
The meeting minutes have been approved. I also vote in the affirmative. Great. Anything else before we adjourn the meeting? I think this was effective and brief, and I appreciate that. So,
Sasha, I had a question. There was something on
yes,
conflict of interest in our emails today. Did
yes.
we all have to do that, or did we do that 2 years ago? What is that? What's the?
So we did. How about this? I will review the email, and then I will, and I have that on my list to add to the agenda, and I forgot, and I will send out an email to the committee on the requirements and what you need to do.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for the reminder. I really appreciate that. Okay. All right. If there is nothing else to discuss, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Chris Allen made a motion.
Donovan will second.
Donovan made a second. All those in favor, I will take a roll call. Kevin Foley,
Yes.
Regina Keen,
Aye.
Ed McMillan,
Aye.
Chris Allen,
Aye.
Dustin Silk,
Aye.
Thomas Stringler,
Aye.
Donovan O'Connell.
Yes.
And I also vote in the affirmative. The meeting is adjourned, and thank you all very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Good night.